What's up, guys? We got some Shama news with Alex Pereira wanting to go down to 185 pounds. Now, he said it before, and now he's kind of double downing, saying regardless what happens with this Khalil Rountree fight, whether he wins or loses, his next fight is going to be at 185 pounds against Dricus Du Plessis. Before, he says he would like to fight Dricus, and now he's saying that's his next fight, 100%. Bro really just wants to do everything that Adesanya couldn't do. Adesanya got submitted by Dricus, and he wants to be the one that beats Dricus. And both Magomed Ankalaev and Dricus Du Plessis have responded to Alex Pereira wanting to go down to 185. This is Magomed Ankalaev's response. Quote, "You are so weak, Alex Pereira. You only pick on the guys who are in a lower division than you, and you think you could beat them. People are not stupid. There is a reason why you're fighting Khalil and not me." Unquote. This fight is so confusing as to why it's not happening at this point, because both Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev are saying that the other guy doesn't want to fight, right? Alex Pereira said that Magomed Ankalaev wants to pick the place they want to fight and all this other stuff. He's the one that doesn't want to fight Pereira. And then Magomed Ankalaev is saying, no, Alex Pereira, you don't want to fight. It's like, okay. At least Dana came out and said as to why Ankalaev is not fighting Pereira. And he said it's because Ankalaev took up another fight where he pretty much should have waited for the title shot. And honestly, at this point, man, I just wish he fought Ankalaev just so this whole chapter with them two is finally over. I mean, every single time Pereira talks about fighting anybody, Ankalaev is always going to be there, and there's going to be a lot of fans are going to say that Pereira has ducked Magomed Ankalaev. And as I've said it before, it should be him in there against Pereira and not Khalil Rountree. But Dana said that the reason why Magomed is not fighting Alex is because he took up another fight with Rakic instead. That's why they went with Khalil Rountree. We all thought it was because Ankalaev just didn't want to fight outside of the Middle East. Right, he was trying to choose where he wants to fight Alex Pereira. But now it turns out, according to Dana, that wasn't the thing. It was that Ankalaev just took up another fight when he should have waited for the Pereira title fight. But then after Alex Pereira said Magomed Ankalaev didn't want to fight him, I don't believe that necessarily, because I would think any contender would want to fight the champion. But maybe there was some kind of other stipulation with fighting in, I don't know, the United States or the Middle East, whatever it is. Champions should be fighting the number one contender, whether that's John Jones supposed to fight Tom Aspinall, that's the fight we all want to see. Pereira fighting Ankalaev, that's that other fight that we want to see. Bilal Muhammad fighting Shavkat. Like, these are the kind of matchups that the fans want to see. The champions going up against the number one contenders. Bilal just did say that he wants to fight Shavkat, right? He believes that Shavkat is a more deserving opponent over Kamaru Usman. It seems like he was just kind of like making jokes about fighting Usman instead of Shavkat. He's been going back and forth with Shavkat on social media, but it's actually Ali Abdelaziz most likely. Shavkat's gonna show up at the press conference like, yo, why does Bilal hate me? I never said anything about this guy. Ali Abdelaziz is just in the corner like, yeah, you kind of were, in a way. And Dricus Du Plessis responded to Alex Pereira wanting to come back down to 185 pounds, and he said that he should fight Sean Strickland instead. I don't think that makes much sense because Alex Pereira knocked out Sean Strickland before. They trained together, so I don't think they would fight each other again, and it wouldn't make sense even if they wanted to. If the UFC wants Alex Pereira or doesn't really care that he goes down to 185 pounds, they're going to give him a title shot. There's no contender fight that Alex Pereira is going to be a part of while he's the light heavyweight champion. He's one of their main moneymakers right now. He's one of the guys that are selling the pay-per-views and constantly saving their pay-per-view events. There's no way they would ever make him a co-main event, and there's no way he would ever be part of a fight night. So he's going to be main eventing pay-per-views until probably when he retires. So there's no way he's fighting Sean Strickland unless that is headlining a pay-per-view, which I don't think they would do that, especially after Pereira already beat Strickland before. And the other reason we don't want to see Pereira at 185 is that he's not the same fighter. His chin is way worse in that weight class. He's cutting way too much weight. And especially now, coming back up to 205 pounds, there's no way he's going to go back to 185 healthy. When you keep switching weight classes like that, especially after you already settled your body at 205 pounds, which is his optimal weight, that cut back down to 185 is going to be devastating on his body. And I would see Dricus Du Plessis beating Alex Pereira at 185 pounds. At 205 pounds, it's a lot more competitive, I think, or at least Pereira has a very good chance of knocking Dricus out. At 185, though, one of those thumps to the top of the head would probably knock Alex Pereira out. Right, Dricus would be windmilling, throwing overhands. Pereira would be backing up. One of those punches slightly lands, rocking Pereira. Dricus slips and face plants, ankle picks him, and then submits him with like somehow a ninja choke or something in Dricus Du Plessis fashion. But if there is any fighter that can knock Dricus out by counter punching or something like that, I think it would be Alex Pereira. Right, he's the best striker from 185 and up. He's the most powerful fighter there. He's one of the sharpest punchers as well. Like, when it comes to striking, Alex Pereira is pretty much the best at from 185 and up. Now, there are a couple reasons as to why we might actually see Alex Pereira fight Dricus Du Plessis. Number one, we know what Dana had to say about the Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev fight before. He thought that fight was boring. Alex Pereira is such an active champion that he might be able to fight Dricus and then fight Ankalaev in like half a year's time, you know? And another thing is, Alex Pereira is one of the biggest stars in the UFC. Forget about biggest star. That's actually not as important. He's the most reliable star that they have on the roster. He's a superstar that is fighting consistently. Jon Jones isn't fighting consistently. Neither is Conor McGregor. Neither is Israel Adesanya. Alex Pereira is the guy that they're making the most money on. So I think because of that, if he wants to fight Dricus, Dricus wants to fight too, we might actually see Alex Pereira fight Dricus Du Plessis. I don't know if it's going to be after the Khalil Rountree fight or later. Dana was even thinking about Pereira jumping up to heavyweight. He didn't say no, that's ridiculous. When that one journalist asked him that question, do you see Pereira coming up to heavyweight and fighting Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall? Dana did not say no. If it's a fight that Dana doesn't want, he will say no, then Pereira's not going to fight Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall. But he was thinking about it. He's like, that sounds like a pretty cool idea. We'll see what happens. But honestly, I would rather see Pereira jump up to heavyweight before cutting down to middleweight, because I think he's a better heavyweight than he is a middleweight, especially with the fighters you have up there besides Jones and Aspinall. And like, actually Curtis Blades stylistically would be a hard fight for Alex Pereira too. There are some fighters up there like Alexander Volkov or Sergey Pavlovich or Cyril Gane. Like, these kind of fighters are guys that Alex Pereira can beat. But the thing is, if he goes up to heavyweight, he's going to fight Jon Jones or Tom Aspinall most likely. And those are the two hardest fights in the division for him. But I'd much rather see that version of Pereira compared to the 185 version. I don't want to see him cut that weight again, man. It's way too big of a weight cut for him. That is going to destroy his body and his chin.